This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good afternoon. Today is the June 27th. It's the meeting of the Senior Center Building Committee. It is 12:33. We'll start the meeting. All right. Open time for the public. No one's here. Approval of minutes.
Drop the ball on that.
We don't have them. We'll get them soon. We'll do two next time around. That's not a big deal. Okay, any discussion? I guess we're going to just talk a little bit about the results of the ballot vote and try to work together to determine what our next steps might be moving ahead. So, thoughts? Other than congratulations to the town.
Yep, hard work by everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Any other thoughts or comments or?
Well, I guess I have a question. So now that we own so
Will
the next
own.
steps are, purchasing it.
Yeah.
Once that's done, who's in charge of making or developing the master plan or setting that in motion with a consultant?
Select board.
Select board, okay.
Those two down there.
Because it's not the public safety committee, it's not any one individual
No.
No,
committee.
it's got to be bigger than that, so.
Yeah.
That would be, I guess, trying to figure out how we would get a land use planner type person on board, and then I think each committee, if I'm not wrong, would end up selecting their own owner's project manager, is that right?
It could be possible.
Yeah, rather than one,
For what?
Well, for the-
For the building.
for going on the
building.
design.
Yeah, I mean, it might be possible to do one for both.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
It just depends on the expertise of
Right.
the OPM.
But I think that, yeah, but the first thing will be obviously a site plan of some sort to figure out what goes where and what makes sense.
Who needs to approve that? Is it just the select board?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, public.
Does it go back to in terms of approving where things sit on the land? I don't think that goes to.
Well, it's going to get a little bit complicated with the donations.
Okay.
Like the 100,000, and we're going to set aside a specific amount for the COA board, and if housing is one of the things, depending on who we go out to partner with in the housing and how they structure it, and then if the public safety complex has any restrictions, so it's going to be a little bit complicated.
So would we, when we, select board hires a company to do that, would we say this is the preferred location for this, this, and this, and these are our wish lists for other land?
Other facilities on the land?
Right.
Probably, yeah. And putting it, I would assume, the minimum acreage that each of the two committees need, which is basically similar, and then
Yeah.
carving that out and then saying, okay, what's left that could be possibly for affordable housing or whatever. I mean, how many acres could be possibly developed into that?
But what kind of public input? I mean, I know it's the select board's final decision, but I know you've spoken about getting input from the public as to what would go there and what wouldn't go there. And
We'll probably have to do some polling, some neighborhood meetings, maybe another Facebook Live.
away from the
We
road,
can do it.
away from the speeding traffic,
So we
yes.
won't get run over.
Yeah, have it mowed.
Yeah, usually if we get a consultant or a planner, or, they can lead the way on that, sort of like how
Yeah.
people do like a master plan or, community development project.
So they would probably determine that in terms of their proposal to us, in terms of how they would work with us to determine what would go on that site. I would think they would put in a whole thing on community engagement, and that would be one of their tasks, I would assume, that they would have to outline for us that we would take a look at. So, I don't think that's something that we're going to design ourselves, and, we really need to put out the criteria of what we need, I guess, for a land use planner, and then put the solicitation out to get that entity and get that selected. And I think that would be a select board choice, from my knowledge. So. that would be where we are, and then once we got that far, then eventually, we keep on moving down the road, but, I was farther ahead on the owner's project manager. I wasn't sure if we had to have a separate one for each facility, because the needs are so different. And it just seems like it would be
I think, yeah, I mean,
more or less.
other
the
than
timing,
diluting
too.
them,
Yeah,
where
and
they're
timing issues,
split in
too.
half and,
I
yeah,
think
might
you
not-
risk getting things held up if we have just one person trying to do both facilities.
Mhm.
That was my thought, but I have no experience in this whatsoever.
Mhm.
So for like this committee, would the next steps be like to start really getting into the fundraising and looking, because now we have a location.
Somewhere in that is 52 acres, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we have a location.
Were you able to get a hold of ethics or anything? Did you submit to them?
Did not get to them yet, sorry, I had a crazy week.
That sounds like it.
It's not a good week.
For those people that have to work, So, yeah, I mean, I think I want to talk with this group about really what our next steps are, understand the town's next steps, and then what would our next steps be, because we're kind of a little bit on, other than fundraising, which is obviously a critical one, and I think we're working on putting together a small group of people kind of outside, within the Friends, but not the different focus, the fundraising that the Friends typically do are smaller amounts. This would be a much larger project, and we want to make sure we have the right people involved to help to drive that, have some experience with it. And, realistically, how much would we, and determine how much we could actually fundraise. Because we have to be realistic as well, so. But I think, the other thing I meant to do, and I didn't get to it, was to find out from Jen what the current balance is in the 2.4. I know it's kind of end of year, so she might be a little bit crazy, but maybe before the next meeting that we could reach out to her and see where we stand on the monies.
The town
The treasurer, yeah.
I think she was going to be getting us quarterly reports, right? So,
That's what I'm thinking, it's the end of the quarter, but she may need a little bit past the end of the quarter too.
yeah, I can't remember when we got one, I know, and I can't remember how long ago it was.
I can look around, do a quick search.
It was in March, hang on.
Was it March?
So she just reiterated, should be receiving the first quarterly statement early April, and I'll share it with the board, which I think she did, or did she not? She talked about when she was going to receive things, so, yeah, I think it's probably good to get
Kind of an update, right?
an update. So that was in,
Yeah, I'm trying to just search for her name.
that was her
but it's not
email
coming.
on March 20th.
Okay,
To Scott, myself, and you. I
Yeah.
believe.
it's in here somewhere, but I
And
won't
I
spend
don't
time.
recall, I'm not seeing my chain here, she reiterated, what the investments were.
Yeah.
But
I don't have
I
it.
don't know that I saw
This
a
year.
report on what the yields or anything had been. So that would have been late March that she had, said she was gonna get a report in April, so I'm gonna assume beginning of June, so certainly by the 1st of July, she should probably have another one, I would think, assuming they're quarterly.
Right. So, should the committee request it, Scott, you, Chris, I mean, does it, to have her generate that for the committee?
Well, that's great, yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. And I know we talked about modifying the charge as well, so I can try to work with you, Chris, on that, or try to take
Yeah,
a stab at it.
I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Yeah, no, that's
I mean,
fine.
I think, the committee needs to still exist. We may need to just, modify a couple of
Mhm.
the tasks and duties that, the committee would now take on that
Mhm.
weren't relevant before, right? So we'd have to kind of work and see what that might be.
We
Okay.
said we made a motion to increase the number.
Right.
Yeah.
at
Okay,
the last
so is that
meeting,
another,
right.
so is there that other person who's going to join once we do that?
So there'd be 2 more people?
Oh,
Well,
no, but there was somebody that we talked about
Right,
2
right,
meetings ago.
yes, and
Okay.
whether or not I stay as an open
Right.
seat or not, so.
Yeah, so we have not taken that up yet, so that's on select board's lap.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was my lap or your lap, so. Or our
Well, to
laps.
work on some of the
The
charge
charge,
terms, if
right,
we want some
okay.
charge terms, I'd rather get that from you rather than making up something myself.
I mean, does the charge itself have to change? Because it really isn't, other than the numbers, I don't see that it's
Maybe
that
not, I
dramatically
don't know,
different.
honestly, I haven't looked at it in
It's
terms
pretty
of
generally
what
covered.
the last task was on there.
Mhm.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
So
okay.
without looking at it.
I mean, we can take a look at it if you want to take a look at it now.
No, sure, you got it.
But it's, let me just see if it happens to be in here or not.
Well, while she's doing that, has any progress been made on like title search and wetlands delineation and stuff like that?
I have the charge here if you want me to forward it.
I think I have it.
All
Yep.
done?
Not done, but title search has been started, and wetland delineation, we are working with the owner, so.
I mean, that's what we would do prior to the final purchase and sale.
Yes, yeah, we've signed the intent to purchase and sell for on both parties, but until we get all the due diligence done, there's no sale. There's no
Right,
closing.
right.
Right.
So you're
Closing is
working on
scheduled
title.
for September 30th.
So title search, wetlands,
Where's the main two, I think?
Inspection.
Yeah, any other inspection.
Wildlife, things like that.
Yeah, there might be checking out if there's any endangered wildlife habitat, some of these other permit kind of things that we might have to do ahead of time. But we've got a couple months to get those done, because we're aiming at closing September 30th.
oh, okay, okay. Fingers crossed, right? So yeah, the charge.
Yeah.
Let me just take a quick peek and see if there's things that aren't.
Yeah, so it says right up there, nothing in this charge shall prevent or require the select board to enforce the membership. Select board may act in
What
the
does
interest
that
of the
mean?
town as applicants come forward. So I think that means, we could modify that without much trouble. I'd want to run it by select board though, just to, go through, just scroll up a little bit more there. Because we said 7 voting members.
4 additional voting members shall be between the chair of the board, chair, COA director, and a select board member, right? So the 4 additional are 1, 2, 3, Dennis, 4. So Ted Palmer will be joining it because he's going to be be serving as the interim COA director until they have an election in August.
Board chair.
Oh, sorry, not director.
I hope he's not, that's news to me.
So what's he
She
acting
said
as?
COA.
He's been
Yeah.
the acting COA board chair,
Taking whose place?
mine.
So you're off now?
I'm off unless we charge, well, starting July 1st. That's effective July 1st.
So then just scroll down in terms of what the committee was supposed to do.
So do you need to come off now?
July
On
1st.
July 1st?
Yes.
Her term is up for their bylaws, right?
So in the next meeting, what are we doing?
So, review plan, investigate sources, okay, we've done all that kind of stuff. In terms of the account,
Sorry, excuse
It
me.
goes all the way through the
I know,
through
just
construction.
waiting for Dennis to
sorry.
scroll.
Sorry, I'm just
Yeah, I
just
think it
trying
covered
to
it
forward
all the way
this
to the
call
end.
that I need to take that I can't take.
So obtain town meeting approval for the acquisition of property, so we've done that. So then it jumped into the owner's project manager
Yeah.
part. So that's a future step, many months down the line at this point in time. I mean, certainly after September. And after, I don't know, what would you say? I mean, I don't know, with a site planner, we can be recruiting a site planner, as we move along. I don't think we have to wait till the closing to recruit,
No,
to
it'll take
advertise
a
for a
while.
site planner, because it may take a while to find somebody, but, I mean, I don't know, we could talk about some goals, maybe about when we'd want to have somebody on board, and then, how much can they do in the winter months, and I don't know.
Is there a survey of the property?
Survey.
I believe they did it when they,
Think so.
when they did the
Okay.
plans to planning board, they had a survey.
I think there's something
They
that
can
would
do
have
it
been
during the
done,
winter
not
then.
necessarily, yeah. I think it's relatively recent, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I think there was one done.
So there's not a lot of restrictions during the winter, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, yeah, and if we have mild winters like we've been having, I mean, it doesn't prevent anybody from going out and walking on the property
Right.
either, so. So anyway, the owner's project kind of jumped to that, and then it was the RFP for architectural services. So it's all kind of there. Issue an RFP, hire the architects, keep the public informed, work with the selected architect. So I think all of that is all still valid, honestly. I think it's just a matter of
Yeah, I didn't think that we had to make major changes. to
yeah,
the
no, I guess
charter,
not.
so-
Just changing the number of people.
Yeah, or just that, we'd like to change the number of voting members maybe from whatever that was,
7 to 9,
7 to 9.
so it's odd.
And have, 2 more at-large members or whatever we call them.
And did you, had you spoken to the individual you mentioned?
I had, and I have gotten nothing back from him, but he'd been on vacation, so
Right,
I'll push that again.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you want, somebody could speak, if you want somebody else from the committee to,
Reach out.
To do
Someone
what?
else to reach out to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. I mean, I've started the conversation, so it's
Yeah,
just a matter
okay.
of getting him to put some paperwork together, I think.
Okay.
So I think really it would just be just a request to broaden the membership. We probably have to give a little bit more of a rationale
Mhm,
for select board
mhm.
to bring on some at-large members, at least somebody with construction experience or something like that. I don't know how we fit everything in there, but we can talk about it.
Okay, all right. But
We're not
everything
meeting
else, I
again
think is,
Until the 9th, and we try to hand out our
You guys.
package the week before, so.
Right.
We've got till like Wednesday next week.
right.
It
then the
sounds like it would
holiday
be a
gets in
tweak
the
of a
way.
couple of sentences, really. I don't think it would be much.
Okay.
Terry? Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we were a little bit more specific in there than I thought we were, frankly, so
Mhm, mhm.
that was actually.
Yeah, I thought we were pretty clear in
Hadn't
this,
looked at it
but
in a while.
I didn't think it had changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But yeah, the fundraising, so we'll work on trying to get something more organized for that through the Friends, but maybe pull in a few other friends that are, that have maybe
What's it called, the Friends of?
the Southampton
Southampton
Council on
Council on
Aging.
Aging.
Okay.
Busco.
Bascoa, as they
Right.
say.
Who says that?
A few folks. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not me. All right, so I think that's pretty much for our next steps then. I guess it doesn't make sense to meet until, other than to create a subcommittee. I know Darcy was going to look into seeing, maybe I shouldn't have logged off yet, to see if, with ethics, if there was any
Yeah.
regulations.
As soon as I get done here, I'll
Yeah.
send an email to them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it might be good to get something in writing, but
Yeah.
the opinion that Scott sent out just was kind of legally clear, humanly not, but that, we have to not coerce or kind of be open. But I think that we can probably do that without violating anything, so. All right. Sorry, I meant to get to my. Any other, anything else we need to put together today, I guess, is my question.
When the select board does, when they do the kind of master plan for that property, will they ask for the committee members of the committees or input?
Yeah, I think we'd have to, sure. So between the two building committees, excuse me, also housing authority and, any other, I mean, when we had that bigger meeting months ago, it seems like it was ages ago, where we had the various committees come to the select board and just chit chat about, what their needs were for land in town. We'd probably regroup some of them or invite them to come again and just talk about what their thinking is, from the greenway to housing to parks to
Right.
whomever. So yeah, I think we'd have another opportunity to do that. But I think the two that are a little bit more solidified, I guess I would say, would be the amount of acreage that both building committees are looking for. So we could kind of say, look, we know we need, 5 acres here and 5 acres there maximum. And, maybe, actual site plan and location to be more narrowed down and more determined, but we know that that's the amount of land required, and then that leaves X amount for other uses, I guess. I don't know. We're playing it by ear here, frankly, I think, but we've never done this level of stuff before, so.
So I'm just curious, Christine, if you've gotten feedback from seniors since the vote, as far as yay or?
Actually, very little. A couple people that were grumbling about it, saying the town has all this land they're always buying up and they're never doing anything with it.
And name one. Please ask them.
They mentioned behind the fire station, that came up.
It was
multiple arguments as that
I
was not a
know.
great choice, but in terms of purchasing it, but it definitely is not a building site for this place.
No, I know.
Both
But it needs
committees,
to be repurposed for something else.
both architects
We've got
and
an idea.
engineers looked at that property
Yeah.
for both committees, and
It can't.
it wasn't
can't be.
buildable.
But even the people that commented about that, were in support, since we do have this land now, of the they were happy about the senior center having a home. It was more a general complaint about the town. And then,
Familiar.
Some things never change.
yeah, but I also had some people like, oh, yeah, that's great, or they might not have heard yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, not as much as I thought, though. I haven't heard from people.
Okay. I was just curious if there's been. Because it certainly was a lot less money from the will than had we bought Clark Street. So,
Yes.
I mean, we're kind of ahead of the game from that
Yeah,
perspective.
I
So
have
think
mentioned
that's
that, yes.
good.
Did you ever get in touch with Lucy to see how the vote came out, the demographics of?
I've talked to her, she's obviously not here,
Right.
but she said that she can run a report to get some demographics for us.
Yeah, that
So
would be
she's
interesting
gonna
to know.
do that at some point when she can get at it, but she
How
needed
did
to
you
have
do
something in the
that?
computer already, so we know
You know who
just
voted.
age-wise,
You don't
just
know where
age.
they voted.
Not,
how
yeah, we
they
won't know
voted.
who
who
voted.
or anything.
But
just,
who
you know, if
voted,
you've got,
period, not
you
how
know,
they
the-
voted.
Age groups.
whatever,
Yep,
the
yep.
the cohort of the, the
Gotcha.
40 to 50-year-olds, how many yeses, how many nos, if, I don't know what she can run, but something along that. I just mentioned demographics, and she said she could kind of break that out. It might be useful for us to know, where the levels of support are and/or, what we have to really target going forward.
Yeah, I don't know
Because
that.
obviously,
I don't think you'd be able to break down yes and no's. You could just break down the demographics of who
Of
voted.
who voted.
maybe, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what she can do.
Yeah.
Well, there's- yeah.
She knows what she's got in her computer, and she's able to do it from the state level or whatever she does.
I mean,
She did say that she could do something, and she would get at it when she had the ability to do so. So I'm thinking in the next couple weeks she might get at it, but, yeah, I think it would be interesting to know, because out of the 34 votes, I think it was, we had some 404 that were negative, so, we may never really convince them, who knows, but we definitely need to know that we have at least a good solid 600 people that are supporting this, and then build on that. So, I mean, however we can do that, so, and figuring out, I don't know, there were a lot of views, I mean, our attempt at our, what I'm calling the Ed Sullivan amateur hour, for those of us who may remember Ed Sullivan. But, Ian and Scott and I were out there trying to do that Facebook Live, which, you know, I think surprisingly, it got a lot of views. It was like 1,250 views.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, what? So, you know, it was a good 20 minutes worth of craziness, but we've learned a lot in terms of how to do it next time. Like a selfie stick, a bigger screen, don't stand in the sun. where you
Turn it
can't
this
read the
way instead of
screen and
this
see-
way.
Right. You know, we couldn't see the questions coming in because the sun was so bright. It's like we were all constantly squinting at the screen. It was probably more of our close-ups than it was anything else. And then the noise of the traffic was crazy. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
but it was good. We had some questions, and thanks to Pam. Pam led off the questions, and that was great from the COA. So
Yep.
that really got a few things going, and you know, it was useful.
I mean, I was obviously there only till 4:30, and clearly, because it was during the workday, I wouldn't have seen people that were working. But I can say a lot of older people were voting, you know, were coming through. Obviously, again, I don't know how they voted, but it seemed like a steady stream.
So I just want to mention, because I know some of the feedback I have heard over the months and months, or 2 years or whatever, is that, you know, this is just going to put a big burden on the older folks in town that own property, and, you know, to this small $40 or whatever may not be a big deal, but a 30 million and a 12 million could really, so I've actually reached out to Kelly Pease and Lindsay Sabadosa to ask them to support this Senate Bill 1930, which basically is an act granting property tax relief to seniors.
Ah.
So it passed in the Senate, it's now for a vote in the House sometime in July. So, I mean, if anybody I can share this with everybody. I've sent a letter to the Board of Assessors because the eligibility criteria, if it does pass the House, is established with the Board of Assessors. So, and it's for ages over 75. So I'm going to try to work really hard to see what we can do from a town, a
Did you
local.
get this from Senator Vilas' office, or?
I got this online.
Hmm.
Yeah, I met with Senator Vilas's rep that was here on Wednesday, and we spoke about it. And
Assuming he voted for it?
I'm assuming he did. He's a pretty big proponent of seniors.
She didn't know how the vote went, so I
Okay.
told her, and she said she would go right back and tell Senator Vilas,
Okay.
so that he'd be interested to know.
Good.
So yeah, I think, you know, both Rep. Pease and Rep. Sabadosa, at least get them on board with us too. That would be great.
Yeah, and probably,
Is this the same one you were talking about? Just-
It's a little bit different, so there was I'm looking it up right now, I think it was Mansfield, but I reached out to another municipality that is building a public safety and senior center, and they did a home rule petition that was approved by the legislature that would exempt certain eligible seniors from the Prop 2.5 increase.
okay, that's another way to go.
And the assessor's office is working on raising, we already do have something in place, but the income eligibility is very, very low, so a lot of people don't qualify for it. But they're working to raise that, and also, you know, for people to ask. So there is that for very low income, and there also is stuff for, you know, veterans and different. So for
Different.
people that are concerned, you know, they could certainly go online or reach out to the assessor's office.
But that's not a huge amount, though, right? I mean, it'd be,
It depends what
Okay.
you qualify for, and they're in the process of raising. So it's a little bit, it would cover the cost for sure, you know, if somebody was to qualify. The veterans, the lowest veterans and the lowest senior would cover the cost increase that the land would, and some. So it, you know, I mean, while that's not a lot in that one, but it is something that is
everything
already
helps,
in
'cause
place.
I think we just need to be really sensitive to the
Oh, yeah.
most vulnerable, oldest
Yeah.
Yeah.
people in town that have really supported the town for
Yes.
decades, so.
Yeah.
So you think this is going to be voted on in July? Is that-
It's supposed to be, according to
Well, obviously,
John,
July's right.
Senator Vilas's, yeah.
July's 2 days away, right?
I guess it got pushed into July, got extended until July, so I know Representative Sabadosa said thank you for kind of bringing it to the forefront, and I saw Rep. Pease at the concert last night, and he said, yeah, we're working to do all sorts of things to help our seniors, so.
And the bill number again?
Is 1930. So, I mean, this realistically, as the way it's proposed, is a property tax abatement up to 100% of the total tax assessed. So, because I know people that have had to leave because they couldn't afford the taxes
Yeah.
we currently have. So, I mean, and again, I'm not an expert on the eligibility, but it may help those handfuls of seniors that.
Who's actually proposing this bill, do you know?
I think it's said at the
Yeah, it's
beginning.
said.
Michael Rush. So Norfolk, Suffolk, kind of. And it was proposed, it says
That's
February
just-
2023.
Okay, so it's been proposed before and didn't get.
And there was another one that, was expired, it was 21-22. It was 1975, but, it was a previous session.
Yeah,
A similar matter filed in previous
so it's
session.
coming back around anyway.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that it's something that, whether it's this one or the home rule, Scott, I mean, any one of those things, I mean, it's,
Yeah, definitely.
everybody seems that one of their biggest objections is we're gonna, squeeze our oldest population out of town, and
Yeah.
that's not the intent, to have a new senior center and not have them here to use it, so.
Right.
Right. Well, and I think too, I mean, we've got to explore any and all options. So
Mhm.
here's one, here's
Yep,
two.
yep.
We're going to be looking at grants, we're going to, I mean, there's all sorts
Yes.
of things that have to be
In addition to
researched,
some
right? So-
fundraising, but grants are obviously
Correct. I mean,
critical as
so
well.
it's not, it's not a, we're not intending to make it worse
Yeah.
than it is here in terms of what the price tag sounds like. But would it be helpful, or is it necessary for others to weigh in on this bill? Or by you doing that already with those two reps, is that sufficient?
I think
for
as many
record?
people that send them a similar email
Okay.
to them about this proposed bill, the better. I mean, it's on one voice.
Yeah. Why don't you send it around?
Yeah, I was just gonna say
I will
that.
do that. I just wanted to present it today
Yeah.
to see what people thought.
Okay.
I'll send it to the COA board, and I'll send it to as many,
Send
I'll
it to
send it to
select
you
board.
guys and select board. And
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if Scott was working, because you had mentioned, Chris, that Scott was working on something, so
Yeah, that was the
I didn't
idea.
want to overlap
Nope.
him, so I wanted to bring it up today, so. Part of our fundraising initiatives,
Yes.
tax reduction initiatives, so.
Right.
Okay. Anything else? Because again, I think that's one of the biggest objections that I've heard is for the older population. At least if we eliminate that excuse, we'll see if we can get more yeses in the future, so.
Should we, this is just for kind of in the future, look at how the funds for the estate are distributed as far as, I know there were some were monies that we could get sooner than later, and now that we don't have that land
Right.
purchase, should we
I think we have
take
to
that money
reevaluate,
and put it,
Yeah.
or does
Right.
the select board?
Yeah, we check, we'll get these reports from Jen and see, we should have the investment report,
And then we can kind of take action on
kind
it.
of see what that looks
yeah,
like.
okay.
Because we did hold out, assuming that we're buying land on Clark Street, we did hold out a pretty large chunk of money, so,
Right.
whether we're gonna need that in the next year for an OPM and to start hiring an architect or not, I
And,
guess we have to
depending
determine.
on, I don't know what I don't know much about our investment frankly, but I mean, with the interest rates lately, I mean, theoretically, we should have earned some interest on this
Yeah.
money.
I would think we would have done pretty well.
I would think, but.
But I know a chunk of
Where it
800,000 was
sits.
out of the investment, I mean, they were invested, but not in any longer-term CDs or anything, or treasuries or whatever we use, so. So we'll get an update on that, and then we have to really evaluate that aspect as well. And then figure out timing, when are we gonna need it?
Right, I think that was,
Or
that
part
was
of
the
it,
original
or-
thought, was
yeah.
to invest most of it, because we knew we didn't need it right away, but we
Right.
needed some liquidity early on.
So. Okay, any other thoughts, suggestions? I think next steps are, kind of TBD once we get the land use planner in. And again, I think the fundraising aspect of it. So anybody that has any thoughts or ideas, that would be critical for that.
I would think just if we can get together what we had, what the feasibility committee, have that paperwork of kind of what they planned on for a site, so that we could have that ready to hand over, maybe a meeting on that.
I'm not sure I followed, I'm sorry.
Like, just to kind of have a meeting so that we're prepared when somebody comes on
Oh,
board.
okay.
To be able to
To review
say,
the
like,
feasibility committee study.
This is so that we don't try handing somebody a whole feasibility study, say, this is the
Pull out the
section.
critical.
Yeah.
And this is, they suggested walking plans, so maybe if the planner is doing, community paths out back for everybody, we could, they could make a path down to join to that, or whatever, like, being able to look over ball fields was something that was mentioned that was nice. So if we could kind of have kind of a little outline of the strong things that we would like.
We want to see in,
Kind of the must-haves, you mean?
Yeah, kind of the
yeah.
things that in our grouping, like they said, we needed this amount of space for these activities, but then, the public mentioned it was nice to overlook ballparks, it was nice to have walking paths, so if we were situated in the back there, it maybe could, kind of branch out, so that.
yeah, connecting the generations, that was why Conant was kind of an interesting site, right? So-
Right, just so that we have, kind of, we're prepared for that, to be
Yeah.
able to hand that into somebody to say, these are the things that were important when we did our feasibility study.
Okay, so everybody has a copy of that, so, we want to look through that for the next meeting. We can kind of fine tune that over the next few meetings, so,
Yeah, since we have a little time.
yeah. And so once we own the property, then we'll then we'll figure out how we're gonna, or will the land planner kind of figure out how many acres we do have that are commercial and how to, generate the revenue back to the town?
I think the land planner would more do like a layout, right, versus.
Yeah,
Yeah, if the town says we want to enlarge these commercial spaces to be more saleable.
yeah.
And it has to be in the RFP for.
Or whatever,
That
but
you
that'll,
want-
I think
what
the
you want
land
them to do.
planner will, go by what they're asked.
But they may have hopefully some insight too, because,
Yeah, and if, right now, we know that we were planning on getting a commercial acre for the access to the public safety building, right? So we definitely aren't gonna use that same access for the senior center, so there's gonna be yet
right,
another
so there's gotta,
entryway.
that's what I'm saying,
That's gonna
how do we
take,
do
again,
that?
some piece of some commercial
Yep.
frontage, right? So,
That was kind of my thought, the land planner can say, oh, this would be the best place to have the entrance, and then we have to
Right.
work around that from a
Right.
commercial
exactly.
standpoint.
So to make, so that you're putting in, I guess, the access road that makes sense for
Mhm.
people, and sense and safety for people to get out on Route 10, but also not carving up the commercial lots so bad that they really aren't sellable, right? I guess that's what we're saying.
Mhm.
So
Right,
that's
right.
what somebody would help us do, I assume.
Yeah, that's kind of a question. Okay. So, anything else today that's not on, that we?
So on July 1st, are you off this committee?
Yes.
So you have to change that before next meeting. You have to change the charge or you're not here.
Right. I can observe.
Just saying.
Committees have known to go on.
And the
I
select
don't
board
think
You can always
doesn't
come
go
as a visitor,
on.
you can always come to a meeting, you just can't vote.
The select board doesn't meet prior to that?
To the 9th.
We can do the 9th, we're taking this week off.
Because, next week is the 4th of July,
Right,
so.
right.
What's
need
the
a break.
night? Oh,
Is
that's
their
when
next
you're-
select board meeting.
The 9th, Tuesday the 9th.
To
gotcha.
change the.
So if we get the charge approved, at our first meeting, we have to elect officers again. But I think,
At the next.
I think Libby's doing such a great job. I think we can all vote in favor of Libby.
I'm not.
Obviously, Darcy doesn't, no.
I am not good at that.
So that would be, part of the next agenda, but I'll post the next agenda and stuff based on feedback, so. So let's figure out on the calendar, because there's no like huge sense of urgency at the moment, but we'll do some, fundraising out of this meeting. Fundraising planning is kind of a parallel group. So are we good with the Thursdays at 12:30?
That works for me.
Are you gonna skip pickleball every time we have a meeting?
That was a different
Okay,
excuse.
just checking. Okay, so is the 18th look good? Does that make sense?
I'm actually away then, but.
Oh, Darcy.
I know.
How about the 25th? I'm not here to be.
Want to do the 25th?
Yep.
I mean, this,
Well,
it'd probably be good to have, because you never know what you get voted in if you're not here at the meeting.
Yeah,
We'll do the 25th.
So 7:25, 12:30. 12:30 p.m. Okay.
Come on. Keep getting this little spinny wheel.
I hate those people.
Well, and now I can't find my cursor
Okay.
because I got a spinny wheel. All right.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a
Okay.
second.
Chris and Darcy, 1 and 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
What time is it?
And I see it's 1:14.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.